The only beer I got is Oberon's.
Okay, I'll call to order the Tuesday, May 28th, 2019 regular board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Southgate's mission statement is learning for life. The vision statement is Southgate Community Schools, the best choice for students and parents. Okay, that takes us to the approval of the agenda or revisions, if we have any.
Let's make a vote. I'd like to amend the agenda, please.
Okay.
I'd like to add action item number 2, the approval of the contract between the Southgate Community School District and Southgate Special Education Paraprofessional Association of Southgate Chapter.
Okay. Any other revisions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on the revised agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the revised agenda as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Was there support?
Support.
I didn't catch it. Who was it?
Doesn't matter.
Mr. Green.
There you go.
Okay. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Takes us to citizens' comments. So any member of the public may address the board for up to 3 minutes. Is there anybody who would like to speak tonight? And you are?
I am Marquis Jackson.
Okay,
My son is Antoine Jackson.
thank you.
I have a few copies if I can distribute them to you guys. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you? Thank you.
Okay, first I want to thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be able to speak before you. In front of you, there are copies that lay out attempts at having meetings with the staff at Anderson High School. My son is an athlete, and he's been playing for Davidson School since the 7th grade. He started having incidents in the 10th grade, okay? I addressed this letter to the head coach, the athletic director, the school counselor, the vice principal, the principal, and Ms. Pastor has also received a copy of this as well. There have been several disappointments. First and foremost is my son's actions and also from the staff at the high school. But I'm not trying to negate my son's problems and his issues that he had at the school. What has gotten me here today is the attempts at trying to understand the action of the principal and the treatment Antoine has been receiving since the beginning of the year from those he looks to for guidance and directions in times such as these. We as parents have sought out resources to ensure Antoine's support and the need that he needed to overcome his issues. Also, you have a copy in that packet of the school code of conducts and the issues and how they're supposed to be dealt with regarding the school. Neither were dealt with in that manner. But I do want to thank Ms. Pastor because of my son's first incident. She did intervene on his behalf, and she did allow him to be able to play football. Antoine played football, basketball, and wrestling when he first started in the Davidson district. As stated there in the packet in front of you, that has laid out his path of redemption. Antoine has made several attempts to try to meet with the counselor. The counselor, met with the counselor. The counselor said she forgot, and then we finally got to meet with her. The principal, Antoine has went into the principal's office and left plenty of messages. I went in the principal's office and left a message to try to meet with him. Finally, once I issued this letter to the administrators, then I got that meeting. And then once after it was explained to him that the code of conduct wasn't followed, he said that the code of conduct looks very vague and that he would look into that. And also he wanted to spend a couple of days with my son. So that has not happened either. Antoine has done all that was asked of him from the resources that we made available to him. I've even reached out to the Guidance Center, who is supposed to work along with the Davidson High School District, in order to be able to have a vaping prevention plan and things like that. And they said that they would present in front of the school, but they had no contact with Anderson High School. So I reached out to Ms. Hollivet and Bethany Sanford from the Guidance Center to present this idea to them, as he couldn't get a meeting with the principal. Again, the principal has been misleading us since May the 8th, 9th, 10th, 14th, and even after finally getting a meeting with him on last Thursday, along with my pastor, he said, and I quote, "Let me spend a couple of days with Antoine," and he has not spoken to him yet. Antoine walks the halls of school every day, never gets a hello, a hi, or anything from his football coach. I can't imagine how he went through school after his incidents from the people that he's been dealing with. My question is, what is the role of the school? And why aren't the guidelines that's in the code of conduct being followed? Antoine has made great strides in trying to right a wrong, only to be shut out by the staff in the school. And I just want you guys to look into that for me.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Craig.
There's also some accomplishments in that package. He's made great strides and great accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, we're going to refer you over to Ms. Pastor, okay? We as a board cannot address directly back at public comment, so we're going to refer you to Ms. Pastor, and she'll take care of any questions that you have. Okay?
I'll call you tomorrow, Mr. Jackson. I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak at public comment? You are?
Good afternoon. My name is Vicki Dobbins. I am a substitute teacher for EDU staffing, which means that I've been in Southgate schools for over 7 years, back and forth periodically. Also, I am on the River Rouge School Board, so I feel your pain. But I do work right now in the Wayne Westland schools. And let me tell you that bullying is unacceptable. Board members, we have to step up and watch and see what's going on with our kids. It's horrible. I'm in the classroom and I'm in the hallways every day. So the things that happen with young people is horrendous. I see it. So let's don't just take a situation and push it to the side. We had one young lady, I'm just going to give you this and then I'm going to leave. She has a really bad walking problem. She wears braces and everything. She wobbles when she walks. Guess what? The kids tease her. They laugh at her. They think it's funny. The young lady comes into school crying. She doesn't want to come. She leaves in the evening. She doesn't want to come back the next day. She's on the phone with her mother crying. Who's helping her? I'm saying this to you, school board members. I understand. I'm there with you. But we have to stop and start paying attention to what's going on with the kids. Oh, yeah, we want them all to get A's and B's and pass and graduate. But what about the bullying part of this? So let's take a little more time, and see what we can do to help these young people, okay? Thank you so much. Again, my name is Vicki Dobbins. I'm from River Rouge with the River Rouge School Board. If you need me at any point in time, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight?
So, good afternoon.
Name and address, please.
I am Gina Wilson Stewart, and my address is 345 Beechwood, River Rouge, Michigan. And I'm coming to you because I'm the president of the Western Wayne County NAACP. And one thing that we focus on is making sure that students are treated fairly, not all African American as well as all students in the school. Our mission is for all students. And when this issue was brought to my attention, I said, well, let's just look into it and see what's going on. And I was trying to pull some statistics to see if there is other students that's going through some of the same problems that Antoine was going through. And it was brought to my attention that there were. So I'm thinking this is not an isolated case. The things that needed to happen in his case weren't done. And I just don't want it to continue to happen with other students. So if he's not the only isolated case, then I think that somebody needs to look into what is actually being done. When kids, which we know that there's some drug problems in most high schools, and I'm sure your school district is not immune to it, what actually happens to the students once they get an offense? We know that intervention works. So if something happens and a kid gets in trouble, is there some type of counseling that goes on? And if there is it helping? Or do you need to try something else? And then, are the parents involved? You know, if something goes on with a kid, of course, call me, because I'm going to be at the school just lickety-split to find out what's going on. I know my kids, when they were in school, they weren't harmless. They did crazy stuff. Most kids do. That's why we call them kids. But there has to be some intervention to make sure the problems don't continue. If you don't address the problem, you have a broken window in the building, you don't address it, clean it up, it's going to be another problem. It's going to be another problem. So what we want to do is make sure the kids that when they're in school, they're treated fairly, and if there's an issue that's going on, that it is addressed. And that's the only problem that I think that wasn't happening. So because I don't have all the facts, I would like to also follow up at a later point and see if there's anything that can be done to make sure all students come to school and they don't have any mental concerns, because kids like to be liked. They like to be liked by their coach. They like to be liked by their peers. But when they come to school and they don't feel comfortable, that has a lot of incidents of their mindset. And we want them to make sure that they are all positive and doing great things and graduating from here excited about school and going on to the next path of their life. So I just want to make sure there are some steps put in place to make sure that this doesn't happen to any other kids. And if it does, that the school board has some procedures in place to make sure it is fixed.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else who would like to speak tonight?
Good evening. I am Keith Stewart, and I am a concerned citizen.
Your address, sir?
I'm a 345 Beechwood in River Rouge, Michigan. I grew up basically all around Michigan. I'm a veteran, so I done traveled halfway around the world. I know people get in a predicament, and there should always be some help for them. If they're willing to help themselves, then someone should step up and give them some assistance. Right? Okay, so I know Antoine is not the only one who has gotten in trouble at Southgate Anderson School. There's a handful more. What you all need to do is put in place, and it's in your handbook, to make sure there's counseling from number one, the coach, and number two, a counselor. When we was in school, we had a counselor, right? If you got in trouble, you could always go to your counselor and talk to him freely. In this case, counselor just shunned them. So I would like for you all to make sure you put in place the coach and the counselor before it even gets to the principal or the assistant principal, whomever, and work with these children to make sure they have a future ahead of them, instead of someone telling them that they will never play a sport again. That just don't sit well. If you played sports in high school and somebody told you after you done got in trouble that you would never play again, how would you feel? Not good. right? So that shouldn't be said, and there's steps that I know and you know that you need to take and put in place. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the citizens' comments and move on to item F, which is presentations. Mr. Wilsick, you're handling this?
I stand before you once again. Thank you, members of the Board of Education and Central Office staff, for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm here to talk about Miss Kay, Miss Kochanowski, who is a young fives kindergarten teacher at Grogan Elementary School. She has been misled. She's been brought here thinking that she's going to answer questions about a kindergarten screener assessment, and I personally misled her. She's going to be recognized as an outstanding employee. Melissa Kochanowski. As she is known by the students and the staff and the parents as Miss Kay, began working for the Southgate schools in 2001. In that time, she's seen hundreds of kids come through her class and has impacted them tremendously. Countless lives. In her first year, she taught a K-1 split and then moved on to the first grade for a year or two and then eventually back down into kindergarten. 4 years ago, we put into place a transitional kindergarten. It has evolved into what we call now a Young Fives kindergarten program. Ms. Kochanowski currently serves as our Grogan School Improvement Chair. She is our Grogan Social Committee Chair, which is an enormous job, especially if you know Grogan. We have a lot of social activities, both for the staff and the students and the parents. She has been involved in the kindergarten screening process for incoming kindergarten students, as well as being instrumental in developing and constructing, actually putting together the kits that are being used in our kindergarten readiness assessment, which we're currently utilizing and we're getting great results from. She's involved in our school community and she gives most generously of her time and talents. She has a full-time teacher, a full-time wife, and a full-time mother. We are very lucky to have her. A couple of thoughts through quotes from a parent, from the two parents who nominated her for this outstanding recognition. Miss Kay has made such a tremendous difference for our son. He came in this school year with so many concerns. She has made the whole school experience so enjoyable, and to see the growth from our son is incredible. They go on by saying, so on behalf of all the students in the Young Five programs, but especially on behalf of our son, thank you, Ms. Kay. We thank you. You are the best. Ladies and gentlemen of the Southgate Board of Education, members of our central office staff, I present to you the May Employee of the Month for the Southgate Community Schools, Miss Melissa Kochanowski.
I had a PowerPoint that I was going to give Miss Pastor.
I have it. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Her husband Mark back here, and the nominating parents, Mike and Mona, and their son.
So I have to tell you that Mona tracked me down in a parking lot and asked how she could nominate a teacher.
That's very Mona-esque.
And I said, send me an email, and she basically did it in her car. So this is grassroots, right from a parent, seeing me in a parking lot, so.
And I have had kids come through. I have a 30-year-old son. I've known Miss Kay as Miss Atkins years ago. And with this little guy, if you ask him, he's a preschool dropout. We tried Southgate Preschool. Beginning of the year, it was so rough, and she stood by him and made him feel so safe.
Oh, my goodness. Cute.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I don't even know what to say because I came prepared to talk about kindergarten screeners. So I have lots of kindergarten screener information if anyone wants any of that.
I'm sure it'll come in useful at some point.
Thank you so much. I love teaching the Young Fives. It's an awesome program, and hopefully we will keep going with it for years and years because of kids like Jaden. So I hope that we can keep it up. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, those are always tough to follow, but we'll get on to the consent agenda, which consists of May 14, 2019 regular meeting minutes and HR update. Sorry?
I said much more boring.
Yeah.
I can't say May 28th.
I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Coopser,
Support.
supported by Dr. Pomponio. Any discussion on consent? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent's approved. Okay. First action item is the approval of 2019 door hardware replacement services. Are you presenting this one, Joe?
I would like to request that you approve the bid award for the door hardware replacement services at Allen Elementary, Anderson High School, Asher School, Beacon Day Treatment, Davidson Middle School, Ford Line Elementary, Grogan Elementary, and Shelters Elementary. This project is being funded by the Michigan State Police School Safety Grant. Administration is recommending that the contract be awarded to IDN Door and Hardware.
Any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, we'll bring the discussion back to the table, and I'll entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Through the chair. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Mr. Lamas.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the award for the 2019 door hardware replacement services in an amount not to exceed $98,125.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Lamas. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Dr. Pomponio. Any discussion on the item?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Coopser.
The fact that it's granted by the Michigan State Police on school safety, were these for, because I've been thinking about this in the back in terms of a lockdown or lockdown procedures of classrooms as relates to any type of active shooter situations, or what does the hardware do for us? And is there anything that has to be done in terms of procedures to accommodate to it?
So currently, almost all classroom doors lock by going outside to lock the door, or the door has to remain locked. So the door hardware replaces the current hardware, and it's called a turnkey. Basically, from inside the classroom teacher could turn it into a deadbolt. It has to indicate locked or unlocked, and that's basically it. So to make sure that teachers don't have to go out to lock their doors or to keep their doors locked. So.
Okay, thank you.
Is it a compliance issue?
So it has to be, and I'm going to mess it up, but AHA #1 certified. The Michigan State Police said you could only have this door or this door.
Okay.
Hardware, and this is the only two that will fund an American or a British version of the door hardware. So this meets those specifications.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Takes us to the second item on the agenda, which is the approval of the contract between the Southgate Community School District and Southgate Special Education Paraprofessionals Association, Southgate Chapter.
You're being asked to approve a 2-year contract agreement for the Southgate Special Education Paraprofessionals as reviewed during our closed session. This contract would expire on August 31st, 2020.
Any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on item number 2.
I move to approve the 2-year agreement between the Southgate Community School District and the Southgate Special Education Paraprofessional Association, Southgate Chapter.
I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Koopser. Any discussion on the item? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay. Item I, employee representatives. Are there any employees who'd like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none. Move on to information announcements from the board. Mr. Estheimer was first.
Okay.
You hit me before the meeting started.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone. I just want to go over a couple things happening in the district, finish with some news from the Capitol. But first, let's start with Shelters Elementary. Shelters is in need of volunteers for Field Day. Please consider giving your time to help Mr. McAllister make it a great day for the kids. That's Thursday, June 6th. They need 20 volunteers for the K through 2nd, and that's 8:15 to 11 a.m., and 20 for the 3rd through 5th, 12:45 to 3. If you go to their Facebook page, you search for Shelters PTO, there's a sign-up Genius link on that post. Also, the Shelters Carnival is the very next day after the Field Day, June 7th, from 5 to 8. And on our district calendar, it states that it's this Friday, so that's incorrect, so just make sure you note that. The carnival is always a good time. Thank you for the PTO and the volunteers for putting on such a fun event and your hard work throughout the school year. Throughout the district, I had the pleasure to attend, along with Ms. Pastor, a dinner for the graduating class of Beacon Day Treatment this past week. Thanks to the staff at Beacon for organizing such a nice dinner for these students. It was especially heartwarming to see the past teachers there. They came back to join the celebration with their former students. These next few weeks are especially exciting for this board. Myself and my fellow colleagues are looking forward to attending the Honors Assembly tomorrow evening to recognize the accomplishments of our Anderson grads, and then with great honor we will attend their graduation ceremony next week on Tuesday. Then on Thursday of this week we'll attend the Asher graduation ceremony. Congratulations to our hard-working grads. And then real quick, we have some, just update you on some news from the Capitol. The Senate passed the school aid budget. Narrowly, it was a 21-17 vote, and that was as of the 22nd. The House has yet to provide its version of the budget. Last week, the Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference met to determine the estimated revenues for the state for the upcoming year. The school aid fund was estimated to be $68 million lower than what was projected in January for the remainder of this fiscal year. The state's general fund is projected to be higher than the January estimate by $151.5 million. These figures traditionally drive final budget negotiations, so fingers crossed that it will be supported in the House. Also, MASB formally supports Governor Whitmer's proposal, as did this board on April 9th, including necessary revenue increases. I'm going to be in Lansing next week, and I'm hoping to encourage passage of that bill and to encourage also support of the proposal. The House Education Committee heard a presentation on school mental health. Hopefully this furthers the conversation on what can be done throughout the state to increase mental health services and mental health professionals in our schools. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Pomponio.
Okay, I'm just going to tailor mine down. I had something written, but I just wanted to say that I know that Memorial Day has passed, but I want to recognize the public servants as well as the military, veterans, and the public service workers, the teachers, nurses, police, and fire as well. We thank you for your everyday service to the public, and we support and honor you. So thank you for your service. And then also I wanted to mention, we had an anti-bullying committee, and that has been set aside for now, but I just want to let the students and the public know that we're still looking at anti-bullying. It's always important to be aware, especially as they go into the summer break, that students need to speak up. You know, if you need to tell your parents, tell teachers, because it's happening whether we know it or not, whether we have the committee or not. And I always support people who struggle with bullying and no help or just trying to reach out to somebody. So just to let the students know and public know that we do have okay to say. They can report anonymously, but if you see that your friends are being bullied, or if you see anything that's happening that's bullying behavior, it's not tolerated. So speak up, step up, call okay to say, or reach out to a friend and just step up and speak up, because we don't tolerate it, we don't know it, and if it is brought to our attention, we look into it. But I'm just advocating looking out for this just being anti-bullying aware, especially during the summer for the students. So I just wanted to say that. And then also last, congratulations to the class of 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Freitas.
Yes, I'd like to send a special thank you out to Miss Amy Soko and Miss April Shuck for coordinating the 7th grade Washington, D.C. trip. I know it's a lot of work, but the students will remember it for the rest of their lives. I'd also like to thank the staff that attended, making it an awesome trip. And lastly, the parents that helped by chaperoning and helping out with all the different fundraising. Your dedication to our students is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we're on to item K, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Estheimer, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Lamas. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned, thank you very much.